Okay, so again, following on from yesterday, we're solving by elimination still. But at the end of yesterday, we looked at one where neither of the variables had the same coefficient, which means we don't have the same number of x's or the same number of y's. Okay. So this is another example of that, just to go through. So elimination method required us to have either the same number of x's or the same number of y's. We don't in this one, but we can do something about it. So I'm going to number them 1 and 2 again, as I always do. Can anyone remember what we had to do then if we don't have the same number of x's and y's? Yeah? We multiply. Okay. Now, just to tell you something here, a shortcut method that you may well hear, right? You may well see if you look up videos or something on the internet. They say always multiply both by each other, for instance. So they would say multiply number 1 by 3 and number 2 by 2, because that would make this 2 times 3 and this 3 times 2. So you automatically get 6y, 6y. Okay. Now, there is no real problem with that, apart from it's not necessary, and it kind of leads you away again from really understanding what you're trying to do, and it can make numbers really quite big that you don't need to be dealing with. So we've just got to look at it and go, well, what's the easiest one to look at? So if you're open to the fact, well, I can be getting rid of x, or I can be getting rid of y, I can multiply one, or I can multiply both, which is what we're going to look at today. But in this situation, which one would you multiply and why?
Number 2.
So multiply number 2 by, and your reason for that is? Yeah. The x, 1x goes to 3x really easily. 3y to 2y doesn't really match straight away. I mean, like we've just done it. It could go to 6, both of them, but it's not necessary. So why don't we just say, well, let's multiply the second one by 3. Okay, and like I would always do, it's a lot of writing the way I do it. My number 1 is now 3x plus 2y equals 7. My new number 2 is now 3x plus 9y equals 21. You all happy with that? Times 3, times 3, times 3. Don't forget to do every bit. Times 3. So now our focus is on the x's. Okay, 3x and 3x. They're now the same coefficient. So we're now looking at it and saying, okay, do we add or subtract? And we subtract. Which one from which one would you go?
Anyone. 2 from 1.
2 from 1, or 1 from 2.
Yeah, 1 from 2.
So okay, so 2 take away 1. So 3x take away 3x, going that way. 3x take away 3x is nothing, which is perfect. 9y take away 2y, 7y's, and 21 take away 7, 14. So I'm left with now 7y's is 14.
Y equals 2.
So y equals 2. I'm not going to bother putting the y in to find the x with you, because you know how to do that. That's fine. Unless anyone particularly wants me to do it. No? Okay with that? So that's an example where you only have to multiply one of them. Any questions on that? No? Right. Let's have a look then. What happens if we have it slightly different? And I'm going to have a look at h. So we've got 3x minus 2y equals 5. And we've got 5x minus 3y equals 8. Yeah. While you're writing that down, have a look. Is there anything that you spot about matching the x's up or matching the y's up?
3 plus 2 equals 5. It's like
Well, there's no adding, I would say. We only ever multiply at this stage.
what do you mean multiply?
What we just did to make one of them the same. So, this case, I can't multiply one of them to get the same as the other. So that would suggest I need to multiply both of them. Okay. So we can pick, do we want to make the x's the same or the y's the same?
Why?
Doesn't matter, does it? So, should we go for y? Let's go for y. Right. I go for y just because it's smaller numbers, maybe.
Yeah.
So, I've got to make y's the same. So, 2 and 3, I'm looking for the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3, which would be 6. So, I'm looking for 6y. So, this one has to multiply by 3. So, I've got to do the same there. So, number 1 becomes 9x minus 6y equals 15. And therefore, number 2, I have to multiply by 2. Okay. Which then becomes 10x minus 6y equals 16. So, what do we do now? Do we add or subtract?
We are actually
Same sign. I go with Alison.
Sorry. What about the same sign? That's a different one.
So what we're looking at, remember, is it's minus 6. Oh, let me change that colour. So we're at minus 6, minus, they're the ones that we're going to focus on. It's, remember, we've got to make 0. So what we're going to do is subtract. I'm going to do that one. So 2 subtract number 1. So 10x subtract 9x is 1x. And then we've got negative 6y subtract negative 6y. Are you happy that that is 0? Because negative 6y subtract, but when you subtract a negative, it's the same as adding. So that does end up at 0. So we're right. So x equals 16 divided by 15 is 1. So we've got straight to x equals 1. There's nothing else needs to happen. Maybe you want to put a little note there in your notes about same sign, adding, if you didn't do it yesterday.